Okay, today we are working on this riddle worksheet called Books Never Written, and this is to review solving two-step equations. So I'm going to be finding the answer and then filling in this riddle, but normally I don't really care if you do the riddle part. The only reason that the riddle part is good is because you can check to see if your answers are there so that you know if you did the question right or not. But be sure to fill out the whole worksheet with me and show the process so that I know that you are practicing all the correct steps. So on letter O, it is 4y minus 9 equals 15. Remember, you're going to keep the coefficient and variable together at first, and we're going to get rid of the constant. So we're going to get rid of the minus 9 by doing plus 9. And what you do to one side, you're also going to do to the other. So add 9 on both sides. I like for you to show me that negative 9, positive 9, or minus 9 plus 9 are opposites. They would equal 0, which is why we can go ahead and cancel them out. So go ahead and show cancel, cancel. Bring down your 4y, because that's the only thing we have left on the left side. On the right side, you're going to use your calculator and do 15 plus 9, which is 24. And then in the very last step, y is almost by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by 4. So you are going to divide by 4 on both sides because that's the opposite of multiply. Go ahead and show me cancel, cancel, because if y is being both multiplied and divided by 4, they would cancel each other out and leave y by itself. And on the right, you're just going to put this in your calculator. Remember, we're going to start writing division as fractions, so that should be 24 over 4, meaning 24 divided by 4. So use your calculator. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So the letter O, if we're filling in our riddle up at the top, would be all of the ones that are 6. So if you go up here, this is 6, so that would be O. That's all I see. Okay, let's move over to K. K has 11r as a coefficient and variable, so we're going to get rid of the constant, which is plus 60. So we get rid of plus 60 by subtracting 60. And what you do to one side, you're also going to do to the other. Show me that plus 60 and minus 60 cancel out. It leaves you with the 11r that we're going to bring down. And I like this one because it looks like it's going to be negative, and you guys need to be sure that you work with negatives sometimes. So 16 minus 60, just use your calculator. There's no reason for you to be guessing positives and negatives. It's negative 44. All right, and then the last step, r is being multiplied by 11. Since there's no operation symbol in between, they're squished up against each other, which means they're being multiplied. So we are going to divide it by 11 on both sides. Show me that they cancel out over here, and it leaves r by itself. Negative 44, excuse me, negative 44 divided by 11 is negative 4. So let's take a look at our riddle and see if we can find any negative 4s, and they are going to be K. So this one's K, and that's it. All right, letter A, 6x plus 7. We're going to keep 6x because it's the coefficient and variable for now, and we're going to get rid of the plus 7. So you get rid of plus 7 by subtracting 7 on both sides. Excuse me. Go ahead and cancel, cancel, because plus 7 minus 7 would be 0, so there's nothing left to show there except for what we still have, which is the 6x. So bring down the 6x. On the left, negative 5 minus 7, a lot of people think it's negative 2, but it's not. If you're negative 5 in your lunch account and you go subtract out $7 more, you're a bigger negative. But if you're not sure, just use your calculator. Negative 5 minus 7. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. All right, last step is going to be dividing by 6 because x is being multiplied by 6. You're going to cancel those out, and then you're going to use your calculator. Negative 12 divided by 6. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. Very good. Okay. So then you will circle that, and then we're going to look for negative 2 for all of our letter A's. So negative 2 is right here. That'd be A, and that's the only one. All right, our next problem is u. So u is actually only a one-step equation. I don't know why it's on this two-step equation review, because y is almost already by itself. The only thing we have to do to get rid of anything next to y is it's being subtracting 24. So we are going to add 24 because that will take it to 0, and then y will be by itself. So we're going to add 24, and then we'll be done with this problem. So cancel out negative 24 and positive 24 is 0. It leaves y by itself, so we're done. Negative 7 plus 24 in your calculator. Negative 7 plus 24 is positive 17. So I'm not sure why this problem was on here. That was a one-step equation, but hopefully it was easy for you. So 17 is going to be u, right here. Oh, and right here. Okay, letter S. Negative 9t plus 2. Remember, leave the variable and coefficient and variable together. Get rid of the constant first. So we're going to get rid of the plus 2 by subtracting 2 on both sides. They cancel out. Plus 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down your negative 9t. Make sure it looks like a t. Sometimes they look like a plus. And then on the right, 56 minus 2 is 54. Check on your calculator if you're not sure. Okay, here's where a lot of kids make a mistake. They see it as minus 9, so they want to go add 9, but that's not what's happening to the letter t. You need to ask yourself, what is happening to my variable? My variable t is squished up against the negative 9, which means it's being multiplied, not subtracted. So t is being multiplied by negative 9, so you're going to divide by negative 9 on both sides. That one's a little tricky. I've seen a lot of kids go add 9 and then they just get it wrong. So be sure you're asking yourself, what is happening to t? T is being multiplied, therefore we are going to divide by negative 9. All right, so they cancel out here and it leaves t by itself. And then 54 divided by negative 9 is negative 6. All right, so let's circle that and let's look for some negative 6s for our S. Negative 6 is right here, so that's S. Negative 6 here. That's all. Okay, last one on the front page is letter J. So leave the variable alone, and we're going to get rid of the constant. And a lot of kids might look at 23 and see this minus after it and think they need to add 23. But we're trying to get it to be 0. And if I add 23, don't do this. If I add 23, will that be 0? Is 23 plus 23 0? It is not. It's like 46. So we don't want to add 23. We want to get it to be 0 and cancel out and go away. So the only way to get positive 23 to go away and be 0 is by subtracting it. So we are going to subtract 23 on both sides, which I know that seems weird because there's already a minus there and it doesn't feel like we're doing the opposite. But again, we're just looking at 23 and we're trying to get 23 to be 0 so it can go away. And the only way to get it to go away is by subtracting it. So we want to subtract 23 on both sides. Now it will cancel and be 0 because 23 minus 23 is 0. But we have a negative x here. We talked about this last week. Let's see if you remember what to do with that. I'm going to put this side in my calculator. 13 minus 23. Oops, I don't know why I did that. 13 minus 23 is negative 10. Okay, so let's see if you remember us talking about hidden invisible numbers. Anytime there is a negative x, there's a negative hidden 1. It's invisible, so I'm going to go ahead and make it visible so that we see what we need to do with it. So anytime there's a negative variable, go ahead and stick a 1 in between it so that we know how many x's there are. There are negative 1 x's. So now ask yourself, what is happening to x? Don't say plus 1. We do not need to add. It is not being subtracted. It is being multiplied. X is squished up against the negative 1, so it's being multiplied. So we are going to divide by negative 1 on both sides. Now they cancel out, and we can use our calculator over here. Negative 10 divided by negative 1 is positive 10. A negative divided by negative is positive. All right, let's look for any 10s, and we're going to make them j's. Right here. Okay, let's turn the page and see our other problems that are on the back of this worksheet. All right, letter P. We are going to keep the variable coefficient together and get rid of the constant, which is the -6. So the opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. That's what's going to make it be 0. So let's add 6 on both sides. They cancel because -6 and +6 is 0. They cancel out. You can bring down your 7v because it's still there. And on the left, we're going to do the math in my calculator. -69 plus 6. -69 plus 6 is -63. All right, and then the last step, you look at your variable, see what's happening to it, so we can do the opposite. 7 is being multiplied by v, so we're going to divide both sides by the 7 so that we can cancel it away from v, leaving v by itself. -63 divided by 7 is -9. And if ever I'm going too fast in this video, you can absolutely pause it. It's also a good idea to pause it, and when you think you're ready and that these are getting easier for you, maybe try one by yourself and then fast forward ahead and make sure you showed all the work correctly and got the answer right. Oh, we need to go back and find all the -9s on our riddle. -9 is P. Okay. V is, we're going to keep the coefficient and variable 6 and x together, get rid of the -1 by doing +1. We're going to add 1 on both sides. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Cancel the -1 and +1. It leaves 6x by itself. And we're going to bring down the answer to -67 plus 1. -67 plus 1 is -66. Last step to getting x by itself is dividing both sides by 6 because it's currently being multiplied. Cancel, leaving x by itself. And then we're going to put this in my calculator. -66 divided by 6. And that is -11. All right, let's find all the -11s and make them v. -11 v. Of course, there's only one. Okay, it's fine. Letter Y. We're ready for Y. Keep the coefficient and variable together. Get rid of the constant, which is -15 or -15. So to do the opposite of that, we're going to add 15 on both sides. Cancel them out because they equal 0. Bring down my -2x. That minus in front of it has to go with it. And then over here, we're going to do the math. 35 plus 15 is 50. Double check me on your calculator. I think that's right. All right, and then again, it looks like it's -2, so I think some of you might think, oh, I'm going to add 2, but that's not what's happening. X is being multiplied by -2, so we're going to divide by -2. Be very careful whenever you're asking yourself what's happening to it. Don't assume every time you see a minus, you're going to do plus. It still has to be, if it's being multiplied, you have to be dividing. So these cancel out. It leaves x by itself. And 50 divided by -2 is -25. Okay, let's find all the -25s and make them y. I see one. Okay, great. Letter M. Keep -4 and e together until the end. Let's get rid of the constant, which is -9. We're going to add 9 to both sides. They cancel out on the left, and we're left with -4e, so I'm going to bring that down. On the right, we're going to do the math. 19 plus 9 is 28. and don't add 4 to both sides. Don't add 4. I know it looks like a -4, but it's actually e being multiplied by -4. So we are going to divide by -4 on both sides. They cancel out over here because those are opposites, and it leaves us with e by itself. And then 28 divided by -4 is -7. So let's go find all of the -7s to make them m. Okay. Letter I. That is a -3n or a -3n. We're going to keep all of that together till the end, and we're first going to get rid of this constant. It looks like you were minusing here, and so you would add, but again, if I add 4 to 4, is that going to cancel it out and make it 0? 4 plus 4 is actually 8, and I want it to be 0. So this is another one that if it's a +4 and I want it to be equal to 0, I need to make it -4 or subtract 4. That's the only way that it's going to be 0. So if I -4 on this side, I'm going to subtract 4 on this side also. Now it will cancel out because 4 minus 4 is 0. But the minus that looked like a minus here goes with the negative. It's a -3n. I know we've talked before about how a minus and a negative are the same thing. So it's whatever's in front of this term stays with it. So I'm going to bring down my -3n. And on the right, I'm just going to do the math. 43 minus 4, I think, is 39. Double check. All right, last step, don't add 3. Don't add 3. It looks like you want to add 3, but you don't because it's not subtracting 3. N is being multiplied by -3. So we're going to divide by -3. You guys are going to be pros at this by the time we're done because we have had a lot of that practice. Cancel them out because anything being multiplied and divided by the same number cancels out. It leaves n by itself, and then we need to do 39 divided by -3 in our calculator. So 39 divided by -3 is -13. All right, let's go on the front and find all of the -13s and put an I there. There's one here and down here. All right, letter D. We want to keep the variable, coefficient and variable together and get rid of the 32. So getting rid of 32, making it equal 0, don't add it. If you see this minus and you think you're going to add, it's more practice of the same one we just did. You want 32 to be equal to 0. So the only way to get it to equal 0 is subtracting 32. So we're going to subtract 32 on both sides. All right, that's the only way to make it equal 0. 32 minus 32 is 0, which is why they cancel out. It leaves us with -5q to bring down. So that minus is a -5q. And I'm going to use my calculator to double check on this. -8 minus 32, it's like your -8 in your lunch account and you subtract out $32 more, you're going to be a greater negative. But just to be sure, let's always check in our calculator. -8 minus 32 equals -40. All right, and now the last step, I'm sure you know, we're not going to add 5. Q is being multiplied by -5, so we're going to divide by -5 on both sides. Therefore, they cancel out over here, leaving Q by itself. And on the left, negative divided by negative, I know it's going to be a positive. -40 divided by -5 is +8. All right, so 8s are going to be D's on our riddle. 8s are going to be D's. It's the only one I see. All right, we are getting down there, getting down to the bottom ones. Again, if I'm going too fast, just pause it or try some of these on your own a little bit and then come back and check it and make sure you're doing it right. All right, we need to keep this together till the end and get rid of the 12. Don't look at the minus and think you need to add 12. If you were to add 12, it'd be 24. We need to subtract 12 to make it equal 0. So we're going to subtract 12 on both sides. 12 minus 12 is 0, so they cancel out. And we're going to bring down, looks like this is out of focus. I'm going to try to focus it. Oh, there we go. That's not much better. I'm going to bring down the negative 5u. Sorry about that. On the right, negative 48 minus 12 more is going to be a very big negative. Negative 48 minus 12 is negative 60. And again, don't add 5. U is being multiplied by negative 5, so we're going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. Cancel, cancel. Negative 60 divided by negative 5. I know that a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive 12. All right, so let's go find all the 12s and make them ends. So this 12 is in, and this 12 is in. All right, letter H. We have 5 left. Hang in there. Keep the constant and the coefficient and variable together. Get rid of the constant. So we are going to get rid of this positive 6 by subtracting it on both sides. 6 minus 6 is 0, so we cancel it out. Bring down your 10K. 256 minus 6 is 250. And now our last step, K is being multiplied by 10, so we are going to divide by 10 on both sides. Pretty sure 250 divided by 10 is 25, but use your calculator and double check that one. 25 is H. So we are going to find all of our H's. Sorry, our 25s and make them H's. Okay. Letter C. Keep the 20 and the W together and get rid of this negative 27 first. So to make a negative 27 equals 0 so that we can cancel it out, we are going to add 27. And so we'll do that on both sides. They cancel out because negative 27 plus 27 is 0. I'm going to bring down my 20W. 73 plus 27, I think that is 100. Double check on your calculator if I'm messing up here. And then W is being multiplied by 20, so we are going to divide by 20 on both sides. Cancel, cancel. 100 divided by 20, I think is 5. All right, so let's go look for the 5s and make them C's. 5 is C. That's it. All right, letter T. Keep the 12 and the T together. We're going to first get rid of the constant, which is minus 4, by adding 4 on both sides. Negative 4 and positive 4, or minus 4 plus 4, is 0. So I'm going to cancel those out and bring down 12T. Negative 100 plus 4, if you're negative 100 in your lunch account and you go give them $4 to help make it a little better, it's not much better, but it's negative 96. All right, T is being multiplied by 12, so we're going to divide both sides by 12. And I'm definitely using my calculator on this one because I don't know what negative 96 divided by 12 is. Negative 96 divided by 12 is negative 8. All right, let's go find our negative 8s and make them T's. That's all I see. All right, last two. Letter E. Keep the variable and coefficient together. Let's get rid of this constant, which is 5. It looks like it's a minus, so I might think about adding. But if I add 5 plus 5, it's not going to cancel out. It would be 10. So I don't want to look at that. I want to look at only the number 5 and see that in order to make it 0, I actually need to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. Now 5 minus 5 is 0, and so those will cancel out. And you can see that the minus is actually a negative that goes with the 8m. So I'm going to bring down negative 8m, and I'm going to subtract 13 minus 5, which I think is 8. All right, last step, don't add 8. This is m being multiplied by negative 8. So I'm going to divide by negative 8 to be able to cancel these out. And I'm going to divide by negative 8 on both sides. That leaves m by itself. And 8 divided by negative 8, 8 divided by negative 8 is negative 1. All right, let's go see if we have some negative ones to put e's on. Negative 1. That is it. Did I miss a negative 2 earlier? Yes, I did. So the negative 2 was supposed to be a. Sorry about that. Okay. And then L, our very last one. I bet we already know what that one's going to be, but let's go ahead and practice showing the work. Keep the variable with its coefficient, which I hope you remember what that means for now, and let's get rid of the 36. So the only way to make 36 equal 0 is to subtract it. If I were to add it, 36 plus 36 is not 0. So we're going to subtract it on both sides. This one's tricky. So 36 minus 36 is 0, which is why I'm going to cancel it out. And that minus actually goes with the x, so I'm going to bring it down. On the left, I'm definitely using my calculator. Negative 36 minus another 36, it's not 0. If you're negative 36 in your lunch account and you subtract out 36 more, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Negative 36 minus 36, you are fully negative 72. Bigger negative. All right, and then the very last step, you need to remember that this is a negative hidden invisible 1. I'm going to go ahead and fill it in just so that we remember that it's there. And x is being multiplied by negative 1. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. So now they cancel out because x being both multiplied by negative 1 and divided by negative 1 cancels each other out because they're opposites. On the right, negative 72 divided by negative 1, a negative divided by negative is positive 72. Bet you knew that was coming based on what we have left in the riddle. So let's go to the 72s and put L. All right, you can figure out what that means if you want. I actually don't care about the riddle, but I do care that you have all of your work shown so that when you turn it in, I can see that you have practiced all of the correct steps.